Greetings, fellow substitute teachers in space. Tiki here.
And Jacob Wild too.
And welcome to another trippy edition of Tiki's Universe. That's right, folks. It's the show where we cover a whole myriad of current animated programming, including Milo Murphy's Law, Steven Universe, Samurai Jack, and a whole bunch more in the future. So, Jacob, we're getting, we're still a little bit behind schedule on Milo Murphy, but we're catching up a little bit. We're catching up. So, we're on Season 1, Episode 8A, 8B. The first episode is called The Substitute. Second episode is called Timeout. Jacob, I think The Substitute might be one of the funniest episodes of the series, and I think Timeout might be probably the biggest game changer in terms of plot and actually kind of gives the series an overall narrative more so than any other episode in the series thus far.
Timeout, yeah, that definitely throws in a bit of interesting elements.
Yeah, so obviously I can't wait to talk about Timeout because it's like I would call Timeout a game changer. I would go as far as to say, like, in the context of the series, I would say Timeout is a game changer and it had a lot of world building, and I can't wait to see the ramifications of it going forward. But before we do that, Jacob, let's talk about The Substitute, which is the episode that this is paired with. And like I said, I think The Substitute is it's a very good episode in its own right, and it is kind of a nice warm up for the Pistachio Gentleman to take on an even bigger central role in the next episode. And this is one of the things that we've kind of seen throughout the course of My Little Murphy's Law. I'd say they're making a bigger pattern out of it than it was in Phineas and Ferb, although, like you said, in Phineas and Ferb, they did do it a couple times, from my knowledge. But the whole idea of kind of like pairing episodes together and having like an element of an episode that's that runs through both. So like with this, it was the Pistachio Gentleman, and I guess with the Substitute, the interesting thing is we kind of learn we get some hints about the fact that they're time travelers, although we really don't know the whole full extent of the time travel reveal until the next episode, and of course we'll talk over that very quickly. But you know what I'm saying though. Like in a couple episodes ago, we had Family Vacation and Murphy's Lard both featured Lard World.
I mean, like I
And
said, notice how I did say they zapped in when I talked about them in Murphy's Lard.
sure, sure.
I said that was kind of like a subtle hint of what they really are. They zapped in, they didn't just appear, they zapped in.
Yeah, let me see. So yeah, Jacob.
One.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
yeah,
one
sure.
fun fact
Fun
brief
fact.
here.
Go ahead.
The school sign up front, it said, "Bye, Mrs. Morosky, your desk will miss you."
Actually, it seems
Remember her?
like that
Remember her
marquee
and
up
her
front
desk.
has a few funny funny phrases. I feel like that's kind of a reoccurring gag on the show.
It is, but this one, like I just think it calls back to the whole desk situation.
Oh right, right. Yeah, I see what you're getting at now. Oh god.
Yeah.
The pencil. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And yeah, speaking of quirky teachers on this show, Jacob, we get a we get a little bit of this substitute teacher in space.
little, little bit of a trippy David Bowie tribute.
Jacob, like I think this is a better David Bowie tribute than Shiny was in Moana. Just in terms of like actually capturing like the style and the vibe of David Bowie and like the kind of like the whole space oddity concept. It's and I also think there's a little bit of Doctor Strange in here as well.
Yep. Well, let's talk about the rest of the episode itself.
Sure, sure. A
Apparently,
couple
this.
of details that I can point out just from this picture. Number one, I love the use of the zoetropes in this episode.
Oh yeah, like I said, the use of the monkey and the yeah, and then Fun fact about one of the zoetropes, though.
Sure, sure. Go ahead.
Dude, do you see that one with the one where Melissa says, "And no one knows what this thing is."
Hmm.
That striped thing. Remember
Yeah,
that?
sure. What about it?
It's technically a Phineas and Ferb Easter egg.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
It's called Klimpaloon, the magical
Okay.
old-timey bathing suit that lives in the Himalayas.
Nice, nice.
I'm not. I swear I'm not making it up.
No, I believe you. I totally believe you. Um, yeah, so I love the zoetropes. I love how Dakota is confused and thinks it's the 1800s because they have zoetropes in the classroom. But I don't know. They also have fluorescent lighting as well. So, and
Very strange logic this show follows, indeed.
I feel like the Pistachio Gentlemen, like they hit the height of their storytelling with the next episode, but I think they hit the height of their comedy with this episode, especially the whole gag where they're, oh my god, Jacob, just how well timed was the chalkboard gag where they go out of the closet, they're sneaking around, like using the chalkboard to cover themselves
It's
up.
like it's like it's like we can't it's like we can't draw attention to ourselves, and they do nothing but draw attention to them.
I was just like, I think that might be one of the most well timed gags in the show so far. That just like it really had me rolling. And then another gag that was just completely well timed was just like Milo opening the door to the closet where the gentlemen are the majority of the episode, and they, like they're just
Do you
like
think he
staring
noticed
each
us?
other down. Like Milo just gives them a blank look, and then it's just like,
Do you think he noticed us?
oh god. It just really, again, this is kind of the timing that I was talking about when we talked about the Akladeka Mathathon or whatever it is. And
I will take a Mathalon.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know what I mean? It's like this is the sort of comic timing that was missing from this episode, from that episode, that I'm really glad was in an episode like this, because I think when this show can do comedic timing, it can do it really incredibly well.
They definitely have mastered the. They definitely do have pretty good comedic timing with these shows. That's for
So,
sure.
what do you think of the substitute teacher just having that David Bowie experience, and then like at first being in shell shock over it, but then just kind of like being liberated by it?
Substitute teacher in space.
I thought it was a really fun arc for an inconsequential character. And also, might I just say, I have totally been like the teacher's pet to the substitute teacher on more than one occasion, Jacob. That whole concept brought me back to my school days, as I feel like good episodes of this show tend to do.
It's like that's something these two creators have set out to do. Like you have to do it like actually. I'm not trying. How I'm trying to word here. It's like to live your day to the fullest, and even like what they would kind of do as kids as well.
Sure, sure. Yeah, and you're right. That definitely does shine through in both Milo Murphy's Law and Phineas and Ferb. I mean, of course, I haven't seen that much of Phineas and Ferb, but from what I have seen, from what I know of that show, I mean, that message is pretty obvious.
Yes,
So,
yeah, especially considering that the Christmas episode was one of your Christmas in July highlights.
of course, of course. And it really was, especially the whole, like the figgy pudding thing.
Yeah, memories.
Oh my god, you guys, you'll never guess. I actually do have figgy pudding. Now I just feel embarrassed because I made such a big deal out of it.
Yeah, funny. Funny. That's actually one of the creators of the show who also voices Vinny.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
No, they do a lot of extensive voice work in this series. Like they do a lot of background voices. They do like the back pistachio gentleman in this.
And aren't the Pistachio Gentlemen basically like caricatures of the actual people?
It's not how they actually look. I mean, it's well, in a way, I guess. I mean,
But I mean, like, isn't Swampy British?
what?
Isn't Swampy Marsh British?
No, he lived in Britain. He technically is from the United States.
Oh, okay. Well, at least I got half of that right. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
he just has a pretty convincing British accent.
Gotcha. I see. I see.
He like lived in Britain for like a decade, I believe.
Uh-huh. Well, at least I'm not totally off base with that.
Well, but technically you are close. But he did live in Britain, so he might have become a British citizen for all I know. So technically, he probably could be considered British.
Sure. Also, Jacob, very small detail. I don't know if you'll have anything to say about this, but have you ever played Mario's Time Machine?
No, but I've seen plenty of reviews on it.
Okay, well, the the time machine that the gentlemen are using, that like mobile contraption that you can see in the substitute's hand in this picture here, very much reminds me of the design of the actual time machine from Mario's Time Machine.
It's kind of
Because
funny.
it's the same sort of like like the gold kind of like steampunk gear design with the the spinning numbers and everything.
My Mario's Time Machine, but fun.
Exactly. No, I remember Mario's Time Machine was like that was like the first disappointing video game I ever played because I loved all the Mario games and just the idea of like Mario like in a time traveling platformer, like all the possibilities that would entail. And then I got Mario's Time Machine. Anyways,
And it was an educational game.
yep. I mean,
This
it's like, look, some educational games can be really fun. Mario's Time Machine is not one of those educational games.
I mean, I know educational games can be fun. I mean, I've had plenty of those, but not that one.
Nope.
And this show actually, I wouldn't call this show educational in a slight sense, but in a big sense. But it's funny and more and has a good moral without being heavy-handed, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, Jacob. Anything else to say about the substitute?
We haven't mentioned the Blob.
That's right. That it is a pretty fun monster design.
Definitely unexpected, that's for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like the subtle difference, like diamantine and diamantine or something like that.
Right. And
And
like I said,
somehow
I
it,
think most of the comedy in the episode just relies on the pistachio gentleman trying to be incognito, but just absolutely failing at it. And in spite of them
yeah,
failing to be incognito, literally no one in that room gives one single iota of a shit that they're there.
yeah, they're like, okay, they just go back to what they were doing.
That's the great thing about it. It's like, oh, sure.
And and then like I said, Milo looks right at them. Do you think he noticed us?
Oh man. But Jacob, I'm
And
just really excited to get to the next episode. So anything else?
I said, what about that stinger at the end? Do you think that'll play into anything like the blob
I
going
was
into
gonna
that
like
broken
remind me
pistachio?
exactly the context of that.
The pistachio gentleman closed the door and it separates part of the blob. It goes into the pistachio plant that Balthazar broke earlier, and somehow it brings it up again.
Well, I mean, considering what we learn about the gentleman in the next episode and their mission regarding the pistachios, I would say maybe we'll see that play out somewhat. Who knows?
After all, did say the end question mark.
Exactly, like a classic. Like I remember a lot of Godzilla movies used to do that back in the day. That's always what I associate that question mark thing with.
I guess we can
Okay.
move on to. I guess we can move on to the timeout.
Yes, please. Let's do. All right.
This is where things start to pick up,
Yeah,
and that
sorry,
actually
folks.
brings
I wish I had a better resolution for these pictures.
it actually starts to bring in some continuity into this series.
I would say this is definitely the most continuity heavy episode of the series. It's not necessarily the funniest episode of the series. I wouldn't even put it in, say, like the top 5 most funny episodes of the series. But I would say that it's very, very well done. It's very well directed. Everything flows together very well, and it's like it's a highlight for me for sure.
It's focusing on some of your favorite characters, so of course it's going to be a highlight.
Yeah, but I'm saying like not just the comedy of the characters, but what we learn of the characters and how much more important it makes these two in the grand scheme of the series. Because let's just get it right out there. These two are just like straight up time travelers.
Yep.
It's like they're not cosplaying. They're not just like weirdly dressed. They're out of time. Now, Jacob, correct me if I'm wrong. Is Dakota from the 1970s, or is he just dressed from the 1970s?
I think he's just dressed, and I've known they were time travelers since before the show even started.
Because he said something about like the Mississippi Purchase, Louisiana Purchase. So
it's
I
like
just
something
find it interesting that Dakota is like, since he chose to be dressed in the 1970s, he's absolutely entrenched in the 1970s. Like he's basically a 70s stereotype.
I think that's basically what it is.
But do you think that's kind of like I don't know, like I'm trying to get the illogical logic of how that would work. Like, do you think he's just like naturally a 70s kind of guy, so that's why he went with it? Do you think he was always that way? Do you think dressing like the 70s guy makes him more of a 70s guy?
I think he's just dressing like it. I don't know.
All right. I'm looking too
But like
much
it's
into
been,
it.
it's been known that they were time travelers since the very beginning. I mean, that was in their official press release description that they're time pistachio protectors from the future.
I know, but I just like the way that this
But
episode just very much dives into the specifics of it and dives into the ramifications of it.
yep, we even get to meet two fellow time travel agents,
Of course, of course.
voiced by two Agents of Shield alumni, Ming Ming Na Wen Mulan herself and Brett Dalton.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Uh, yeah, like I also just really love. I think probably my favorite part of the episode is the moments between Dakota and Milo. How it
Yeah,
bookends the
their
episode, like
interaction.
early on, and then how Dakota sees, when Milo's coming back, and they're, like Dakota gets the look at him as the boat's like speeding overhead.
Yeah.
That moment was just, it was very funny, very outlandish, but also just made a ton of sense in the actual like continuity of the show. Like, okay, yeah, the Milo has been everywhere that the Pistachio Gentlemen have been. He's shown up, and it really does kind of tie everything together. Like it makes the Pistachio Gentleman not a random element of the show, but instead kind of like this weird sort of like antagonist in a way to Milo, but it's like they're both just so pleasant on the outset that it's just kind of like, it's like the way we end the episode, which is probably my favorite ending to any Milo Murphy's Law episode so far. The whole like, I love cheese fries. They're fries with
they're
cheese.
they're fries with cheese.
And then in the meantime, like the gentlemen are being super serious. They're like, "This isn't over yet, Milo Murphy. Not by a long
But
shot."
my And Vinny's like trying to say maybe we're looking. Vinny's like trying to say maybe we're looking too much into this. Like maybe he's like not a counter agent.
Yeah, but you know what? In the grand scheme of things, though, I do like the message of like, even though they've been kind of like through the ringer and actually like been set in their place, like they're kind of just like the lowest of the low when it comes to the time travel company hierarchy. And I do like, okay, let's talk about the Mark Hamill character, Mr. Block, here for a second, because I do like the idea that Mr. Block is just a fan of pistachios from a kid, and pistachios went extinct, and so that's why the Pistachio Gentlemen are there to protect the pistachios, to preserve them into the future, which is a
Yeah,
menial
that's
job
pretty.
on the outset, but I think kind of is a cool sort of like it's a relatively high stakes thing for the actual boss. Like I'm sure the boss would love to get pistachios back, so I like it.
And I can't confirm that they actually that the whole Milo being their enemy thing actually does appear in later episodes.
You what?
Was that?
I'm sorry, say that again. I missed that.
Milo being their enemy, them believing Milo is their enemy actually does appear in future
Oh,
episodes.
okay. I heard you can. I didn't hear if you said can or can't confirm. Okay, you can confirm. Okay, I'm sorry.
They can.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm excited to see that play out because the Pistachio Gentlemen have been such fun characters so far and such an enigma with the show that I feel like now that they're like the antagonists and we understand their motivations, and at the end of the day, they're just kind of like these low level schlubs who are who are just trying to do a good job and appease their boss. I just think it adds a whole other layer to the show, and like I said, I truly think this is a game changer for Milo Murphy's Law. At least in terms of like just having a very strong continuity. And look, every episode of Milo Murphy's Law, as we said, has been it's been very good with the kinetic energy. It's been very good with like the timing of the gags, and even like having some having some gags that carry over from episode to episode. All very fun stuff. But I feel like this is the episode that truly gets us into like maybe that sort of Star versus Force of Evil, Gravity Falls. Like maybe not that elaborate because I don't think the show is ever meant to be that elaborate or that, you know what I mean, or that continuity driven, but it at least kind of gives us a taste of something like that.
Plus, it's early. Plus, it's early. But it's early season stuff. So not
Of
early
course.
season stuff, but still first season stuff. So it might go deeper in deeper season and then second seasons. But who knows? Like I said, the show isn't really built for the dramatic, high tension, overarching plot stuff. Not that
Uh-huh.
that's a bad thing, of course. Sometimes it's just good to have a fun, silly cartoon.
Sure, sure.
I mean, not. I mean, sure, I like plot as much as the next guy, but I like plot driven cartoons as much as the next guy, but they can also sometimes they can also be a hindrance to them, like in service to an overarching plot. So like I
No,
said, sometimes
I
just
mean I understand, but I feel like shows like Gravity Falls and Star Versus are just really good
like I said, those
examples of shows that mix good gags with like really good plots at the same time.
those do it good. It's just that some other ones like try to include a plot, but just fall flat. But like this one's like trying to like it can be a fun silly cartoon, have bits of continuity here and there, kind of like early seasons of Star.
Sure. Uh, and I think Disney does do it the best. Like even something that I'm a fan of, like Steven Universe. I think Disney shows in general, like especially the big three, like Gravity Falls, Star, and this, I feel like have a stronger sense of well, I mean maybe not Milo Murphy quite yet, but I definitely think Star and Gravity Falls kind of have a stronger sense of continuity than something like Steven Universe. As much as I like Steven Universe, Steven Universe is one of those shows where it does take a while for the elements to. I don't know. It kind of depends episode for episode. I don't want to go into a Steven Universe tangent. I
All
feel
right.
like that show's been like average more. It's been more than it's been great recently. But anyways, I'm sorry. I
I
just went
wouldn't
on a
even
whole
know.
tangent.
I wouldn't even know what you were talking about in that show anyway. So I'll
I
take your
know.
word
I
for it.
apologize.
I really need to start watching that.
Yeah, but season one is kind of rough. So okay.
All right.
So let's see. Anything else to cover with timeout? Just sort of the ramifications of like like the good secret agents prevented World Wars 3 through 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just the like I said, like it's definitely been hinted at, and like you said in the press release, confirmed that the Pistachio Gentlemen were in fact time travelers. But I like to see it so blatantly spelled out like this in the episode. I like to see it just like, okay, here's the rules. Here's what the actual people that we've been following fit into the hierarchy. They're obviously like low level management, and well, no, they're not even management. They're just like low level kind of like menial workers. And so it definitely gives them a relatability and a motivation in spite of the motivation just being super silly and founded on a whole bunch of nothing. Because as we see in the episode, like Milo is just pretty much completely oblivious to the fact that the Pistachio Gentlemen even exist outside of like, oh, hey, it's a funny coincidence that you guys keep showing up in the same spots I'm at.
And even Vinny just seems to think that it's not like probably worth their time to even go after his kid.
Sure. Okay, Jacob, I think that'll just about wrap it up unless you have anything else to say.
And we can probably just say that it's a good thing. The Murphys should probably have good insurance.
I guess so. Yeah, yeah.
At least they better have good insurance, or else they'd really be screwed.
All right, Jacob. So let's see. The next two episodes are we're going to the zoo and school dance. Anything you can tell us about that?
Well, in the next episode, we're going to the zoo. At a donation drive, Milo accidentally gives away his mother's precious vintage band T-shirts. Cavendish and Dakota are assigned to protect pistachios at the zoo.
Oh boy. So I sense some antagonism there. All right, and then school
And
dance.
school dance is like Amanda does everything she can to make sure the school dance goes off without a hitch. Cavendish and Dakota go to the dance to attempt to prove without a doubt that Milo is another agent attempting to thwart their
Oh,
plans.
okay. That should be fun. That should be fun.
And Chad, a character that we've seen before, mistakes
On.
Cavendish and Dakota for vampire hunters, and they believe he's after Mr. Draco.
All right, looking forward to that. Looking forward to that. And also, Jacob, I just want to point out some hype for the llama incident, an episode that is not on the Disney XD app yet. Although it should be airing like very soon in the next couple days. So, but the llama incident, the season finale of Milo Murphy's Law season 1, is going to be a Milo and Melissa finally tell Zach the story of the infamous llama incident. So it's going to be a flashback episode.
I hope it's interesting.
I'm expecting great things.
I don't think it's gonna be anything mind blowing or anything, but
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. It could be. Who knows?
it could be.
Okay, Jacob. So really good pair of episodes. Like I said, I think The Substitute was just a masterclass in comedy, and Time Out was just a really big game changer in terms of the story of the series so far.
Yep.
Okay. So, folks, thanks for being patient with us as we get these episodes out. It's like I don't know. We'll try to get through to the season finale as quick after the season finale actually airs as we can. And in the meantime, folks, check out our Samurai Jack episodes as well. And just remember, it's his world, and we're all living in it. Da, 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 da.
Da.
I love cheese fries.
It's fries with cheese.